Hariom everyone, welcome to this class on Purusha Sukta. Start with the chanting first. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Gananam Tva Ganpatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Shrinvannuti Sadhana. Om Shri Mahagampataye Namaha. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mantra Pushpa, we chant the fourth and fifth sections. Tena Deva Ayajantah Sadhya Rishayaschaye Tasma Jagyat Sarvahutah Samhritam Prishadajyam Pashugansta Ganschakre Vayavyan Aranyan Ramyaschaye Tasma Jagyat Sarvahutah Richassamani Jagnire Chandagamsi Jagnire Tasmat Yajustasmat Ajayat Tasmadashva Ajayanta Yekecho Bhayadatah Gavoha Jagnire Tasmat Tasmat Jata Ajavayah Yat Purusham Vyadaduhu Pratidhavya Kalpayan Mukam kimasya kabahu kavurupada uchete brahmano se mukhamasit bahura janyakritah. So, in the last class, we were looking at the aspect of Samhritam Prishadajyam, that is the concept of uh, cause and effect being cyclic or interrelated or interdependent. And we also saw the relationship between the Brahmanda, Deha and Virat. So Virat is omniscient. So like by this curd and ghee example, it is being said that we have identified with the body Adhyasa, we have identified with the body. So because the one who has a relation with the limited, he becomes the jiva, he is the agyani because he has this body identification or deyadhyas. And due to this relation, Pashu is born. This Pashu is formed. So where prana doesn't exist, there deha also becomes jada. Without prana, deha cannot move or cannot exist. So those having prana devta are all pashu, whether two-footed or four-footed. So among them, there are two divisions. So we saw that no, pashu, gasta, gas, chakre, vayavyana. Vayavyana is vayu representing prana devta. And what two divisions it makes? Aranya, gramya, chaye. Aranya and gramya. Two kinds of beings. So before we get to understand their difference and how we can get out of Pashu Bhavaha, we have to understand what Shastra says and what Bhagavati Shruti is telling us about how to enter into that yajna first. Because even though Pashu Gasta Gans Chakre Vayavyana Aranyan Gramyaschaye Tasma Yagyat Sarvahuta. So Tasmaat, to get out of them, to get out of this Pashu Bhav, we have to go to the spirit of Yajna. Yagyat Sarvahuta. We have to offer everything into this Srishti Yajna. Right? So, this Bhagavati Shruti is telling us, it was said in the Brahmanas also, in the Taittiriya Brahmana, it is said, Yajna vai Vishnu. Vishnu himself is the Yajna or Ishvara is the Yajna. So, Paramatma is appearing as Yajna during the transactional period of these three, Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara. So, Yajna was described as of two types. yajna and homa, which we saw earlier. So difference being that homa is with sinchanam, right? So we have to ensure that the fire burns properly or the process runs in a very smooth manner without any interruption. That is the sinchanam part. Sichana, to irrigate something. And then we also saw the third aspect of yajna, which is dhanam. Dhanam is the giving. So in the giving, there is the difference. What is the necessary term? Acceptance by the devata is necessary, right? Acceptance by the devata is necessary. So when an experienced knowledge is born, we have to understand how to analyze any knowledge that is born. And Shruti tells us the methods. It tells us when an experienced knowledge is born and it becomes one with the Sakshi, the witness, then it is called Nirmit. Nirmit. Now, must have heard the word Nirman. We saw in Kathopanishad also, Nirmimanaha. Out of our different karmas, the Ishvara, he creates the universe. So this knowledge is also nirmita. So miti or miti is what is known, what knowledge is known, and the knower is called mata, and the known is called ameya or meya. And by which it is known, it is called the man, the measuring instrument, by which the instrument. So the knowledge that is born is miti, and when it merges with this sakshi, when the knowledge merges with the sakshi, it is myth. Maybe if you are confused by the terms, you can add the commonly used words pra from the beginning for more intensity. Pra means prakrishtata. So there, what are the words? Pramata, the knower; praman, the instrument; prameya, the object to be known; and pramiti, the knowledge that is born. So these are the four aspects of any perception. The three are main, and finally the knowledge. So these are the ways which we can shorten them up into Mata, Man, Meya, and Miti. So all four are illumined by the Sakshi Chaitanya. Without the Sakshi Chaitanya, without the consciousness, neither is that knowledge going to be illuminated, like in deep sleep, or even when I'm in a different plane, like if I'm in a dreaming state, then also that knowledge is not going to be illuminated. So all four being illuminated by this Sakshi Chaitanya or our consciousness or our Atma, that is called myth. So this myth or this knowledge, this knowledge is again of two kinds. Okay. So this knowledge, that is whenever we perceive any object, that knowledge is of two kinds. So we can also call it prama, the knowledge. So this knowledge is of what are the two kinds? Basically, right knowledge and wrong knowledge. Right knowledge and wrong knowledge. Or you can say prama and bhram. You can put the technical words like that. Prama and bhram. So prama is the right knowledge, wrong knowledge is bhram. So just like the common example, if you know the rope as the rope, then it is prama. And if you know the rope as a snake, it is bhram. What is the difference? There is a definition also given for this. So right knowledge is prama, wrong knowledge is bhram. What is the indicator of right knowledge? There are two words that are given to us by Shruti. It says any knowledge that has to be accepted as prama, जिसको भी हम प्रमा मान सकते हैं. किसको मान सकते हैं? It should be first of all anadhigatah and abhaditatah. So what is anadhigatah? Means it should not be known before. It should not be known before. And abhadit, it should never be negated at any point in time. It should never be negated at any point in time. These are the two essential characteristics of prama. कोई भी ज्ञान होना पड़ेगा, तो वो अभी जो हो रहा है बाद में कुछ और हो जाए, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. Then you can't call it prama if it will be negated later on in the future. Right? So it should not be known anytime before, because what will happen if it was known before? It will be smriti. It will be a memory, right? It is not be a prama. So like yesterday, I went to the planetarium and I saw the planet Jupiter through the telescope. So if I saw that yesterday, this thought comes in our mind today. But the object of this thought was known yesterday itself, right? So therefore, it is not anadhikat. It is not unknown. Anadhikat nahi hai. So it is not unknown. So if an object was known earlier, its knowledge is knowledge is not prama. If it was not known earlier, then the knowledge is prama. So now coming to the next thing, you might say that we didn't see the snake on the rope earlier also. जैसे ही मैंने सांप देखा मुझे तो दिखा. I saw the snake. So that is also prama. So again, you use the second thing. So it is added here. It should be abadit, non-negatable. So snake disappears when light is present. When light will come, snake will go away. You can apply this for all the different examples, for the mirage and for any kind of illusion, a magician's magic tricks, and so on. So you can apply anywhere. This is just a commonly used example in Vedanta. So snake disappears when the light is present, because now we have learned that the object of my knowledge never existed. It was never there. So light comes, and with it, the knowledge that the snake never existed, right? So the knowledge of snake and rope is not prama. And what was not known before and what is now known later on, right now, that is called prama. So if we use this logic properly, think carefully, try it everywhere, and then except for the knowledge of Paramatma, all other knowledge is Brahma. All other knowledge. Only the knowledge of Paramatma is Brahma actually. All of them will be negated at some time or the other. Right? So therefore, except for Brahm Gyan, all the rest are negated. Right? So on knowing about Paramatma, it becomes known objects didn't exist. They were merely projected out of Atma or Paramatma. So there is only one Brahma, that of Paramatma, rest are all Brahma. So you can apply this like in the world, you can say like this is my son. So when born, he became my son. So before being born, he was not my son. Right? And after I go away or he goes away, he will not be my son again. So actually he was never really my son. Apply that to all objects. So once we do that, what happens is any relation then becomes for us a matter of giving only. We cannot accept anything back. We have to give our love maximum to all the relationships that we feel in the world and never expect anything back in return. Whatever we get back, that is bonus. Right? So everything is Brahma, so it will go away. And why should I love? Because it is projected out of me. It is not separate from me. Right? So everyone loves oneself. Right? So no one hates oneself. So we always, when we see the whole world as an extension of ourselves, then all our relationships, and so then what will the difference be by this vision? Then my love for my son will be the same as another person also, right? I will love another person's son or another person similarly the same way. So this way, when we analyze Brahma, we can apply it to the to get over our attachments, to get over our sorrows which come from that attachment, and to give as much more possible we can, so that happiness never leaves us. बस देने में ही मजा आता है. The truest happiness that will never go away is in giving. Once you have given something, that happiness will be there forever. Even later you remember. But when you have taken something, that joy will go away the moment you lose the object of your attachment, right? So that's this way we are, uh, in a way, we are directing our mind towards that highest joy. And that can only be possible if we see the whole world as a reflection of ourselves. So there is a story. So one day, Devrishi Narad, he was going along with another of his friends, Devrishi Parvat. So they were going somewhere. Suddenly, while walking, Naradji laughed. So Parvat Rishi asked, "Why are you laughing?" So now Naraji said, No, 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 nothing, nothing. Just chhod do, rehne do. Let it go. Nothing serious, nothing big about it." So problem is no, when one someone is traveling with another person and one is laughing, then the other thinks that he is laughing at me. मेरे पे हंस रहा था. So we think that. We all think that the world revolves around us. So when Naraji refused 2, 3 times, then Parvat Rishi said he refused to relent, and he finally decided, okay, I'm going to tell you, since you are going to take some wrong import or wrong meaning out of it, I will tell you. So he said, I was looking at this male goat outside the shop. So the shopkeeper hit him with a stick and he tries to make him go away. So I laughed. So now Parvati said he's even more confused. He's saying, why is that something for you to laugh about? So he said it's not something to laugh about. In fact, it's something to be upset or sad, or you can say at best surprised about. So you are laying it on me, he said, you are fooling me. It's not a reason to be sad. Hmm. So now Naraji said, I have to, okay, I have to tell you the rest of the story also. He said that this goat is the father of the man in the shop. In the previous Janma, he had made this shop, he had built this shop out of his hard work, and he had made this shop successful. And then when he died, his son took over. But now he's born again near to the shop only as a goat. But due to previous samskara, he was born nearby. He tries to go again and again into the same shop while his son beats him and makes him go away. And therefore, I am laughing at the attachments of men. Last Janma, he was there, he had did some hard work and he got attached to this shop. That attachment is carrying itself into this shop. Okay. So there is one more story similar to this. There is it's about a Brahmin who came to one of our modern gurus. Huh. So he confessed, this Brahmin confessed that he had done some siddhi of a yakshini. He had tamed the yakshini by japa. यक्षिनी को उसने अपने उसमें शक्ति में ले लिया था मतलब it's not tamed in a way that yakshini becomes benevolent towards you. That is what you do with sadhana. So one day he was supposed to travel by train. So the station was far, so he took a camel. He loaded all his stuff and family and got onto it to go to the station. On the way, he was whipping the camel to go faster. Jaldi chalo. So the Yakshini whispered in his ear, be gentle. He was your father in your previous birth. This camel. So first he didn't understand. He kept goading it on. And then again Yakshini repeated. Then again, same thing she repeated thrice. Ultimately, he believed her and he deboarded. He was feeling upset. And he said, we'll take the next day's train. Let us. So then what happened is he changed his Anushthan. He changed his Japa. And he told his Yakshini never to tell him such things again. Right? We have to give up all our past attachments. Anything that has happened in previous Janmas is, of course, something most of us don't even know. But even in this Janma, all the attachments we have to give up. Because for saints like Narad, they laugh at these attachments. And we should also similarly have this bhava. So think that all these relations will get negated one day. They are not permanent. In Vedanta, the real Brahma is only a Brahman. Your highest love or your maximum love should go to the Lord because he is your own Swarupa. So there are two kinds of Brahma. One is the Brahma of the snake on the rope, etc. This gets removed before self-knowledge. And the second is the Brahma of minus or ego. Minus or ego. So this one gets removed after self-knowledge. So Brahma gets removed, the Brahma of wrong perception, it gets removed before self-knowledge. But the Brahma of ego, it gets removed after self-knowledge, right? So once this self-knowledge is there, this self-knowledge is expressed by the Veda, by the Ved Vakya. Ved Vakya is the main method of expressing all knowledge that is not available for us for direct perception. It always talks about knowledge which is beyond our direct sense perception. So Veda will talk about the Swarga, the different lokas where we cannot go, right? So all the seven higher lokas, the seven lower lokas. Then we are in Jambu Dvipa. So the other seven parallel lokas, so Palash Dvip and so on. So all these are the subject matter of Veda. So of the Veda Vakyas, one is the Swarup Pratipadaka Vakya. The Vakya or the sentence or the Ved knowledge which is telling about your Swarupa, your nature. And the others are, we call it Srishti Pratipadak Vakya. Through these two kinds of sentences, how the creation came about and what is the nature of my being, because creation came about before I was born or way before this body came, right? So these are the two things mainly that the Ved Vakya is telling. So like how do they describe the starting of the creation? Like from Atma came Akasha, from Akasha came Vayu. So in all of these, we have to be very careful that even when Srishti is being told about, whenever we are being told about the division, then we have to remember that actually the Veda is not telling us about the division. It is telling us about what is near to our Swarupa And how this Swarupa is expressing the creation, because everything is coming out from Brahman. Nothing is apart from Brahman. So therefore, basically it is teaching us that everything has come out from Brahman only. And you have to merge it back again into Brahman, which is your true nature. That is the main purpose of Shruti Vakya. So like if you go into a shop that is selling cloth, let us say only cotton cloth. We can say, so we can say that in in this shop, there is nothing besides cotton. Only cotton is there in the form of different colored cloths. So same way, when Shruti says Atma gives rise to Akasha, etc., this means that there is nothing else other than Atma, nothing else other than Brahman, or nothing else other than Atma. So but we are seeing parts, we are seeing the parts. So if we are seeing the parts, they appear as separate when we see their cause. When we see their cause, then their oneness is established. We just have to go back to the cause. कहाँ से आया? कहाँ से निकल के आया? जो सब कुछ वहां से आया तो फिर सब वही है. If everything has come out from Brahman, then everything is Brahman only. So in this way, Shruti directs us to Swarup Vakya and Srishti Vakya about how the oneness is there, right? So if you look at the different objects of the world, you look at the your sense organs also, eyes, ears, they all appear separate, different, and the objects also, they have shape, color, size, functions, or the tongue is totally different. So now all of these appear varied and different. But when you go back to the cause, when you go back to who is perceiving, then initially you will even there see some difference. What is that? That I am the seer, I am the listener, I am the taster. But if you think carefully, then you will say all these are the knower. सब जानने वाला ही है. So all knowledges are actually one only. So the five elements, they appear separate, but when you do vivekaha, they are only one object being projected in different forms, right? So the knower and the known are also one, as they are arising from one formless eternal reality. So in the Bhagavatam, there is a shloka, Jnanam ekam parichinah indriyehi brahma nirgunam avabhati artharupena bhrantya shabd adi rupena. He says Jnanam ekam, there is one knowledge only. But parichinah indriyehi, by the sense organs, it is appearing differently. And because of the gunas, because of the properties, we see them differently. So then why do we see so much diversity? Because we see them with the sense organs directed outwards. So when we see with the eyes, this same object becomes with form. When we see with ears, the same object becomes with sound, and so on. So we can see another example, like five people are sitting. So five people are sitting, they are looking at a sari. They are looking at a sari, a beautiful sari. One says it is red. Another is saying he is blue. Third one is saying it is green. One is saying yellow. One is saying orange. Can you guess why? How is it possible? All five people telling the truth but seeing different colors.
That color obsession.
Yeah.
Color.
Yeah. Hmm?
Color blindness.
Colored glass. They are all wearing colored lenses or glasses, whatever way you want to say. So they are all wearing colored glasses. So other wise person comes, he says, you are seeing with your colored glasses. So we take off that. So they say we need the glasses to see. He says yes, but don't use colored glasses. We also use the colored glasses of our vasanas. We use the colored glasses of all our vasanas. So the eyes see the color, mind sees sukha and dukkha and so on. We don't want to give up our colored specs. We hold on to that. पकड़ के रखते हैं. Since we have had them for so long, we are so used to them, we can't give them up. So, in order to give them up, we have to learn to meditate. We have to learn to go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Right? We have to go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where we can see that everything is arising from within me, so that we can negate everything. But what if Samadhi is not reached? It's not necessary. Till then, we can understand conceptually. We can understand conceptually, like when you go into deep sleep, then none of the gunas remain. Only knowledge remains. And then when I wake up and say I slept well, or I knew that I was observing nothing, meaning the objectless knowledge was there. We saw this earlier also in Kathopanishad. So due to Brahma, we are seeing the difference. Due to Brahma, we are seeing the difference. So now it isn't there. So in outer world only Brahma exists, right? So this way the Veda is revealing all these truths to us. So in Veda, this rahasya we say is revealed. This rahasya is revealed. So in normal language, rahasya means secret. Hmm. But raha here means solitude, akelapan, separateness from everyone. So, because also, no, the rahasya you have to tell in secret. I want to tell you something secret. Come aside for a moment. You will call the person aside and then tell them. Right. So that is why rahasya also is to be maintained solitude. So if you analyze, Sanskrit is such a beautiful language. If you analyze this word raha, ra, ha, and with a visarga, right? So in Sanskrit, the visarga ra becomes ha sometimes when the word is changed, and then ha also becomes the visarga. You also pronounce the visarga as ha, raha, raha. So therefore, it is said an object sometimes appears like ra, and sometimes ha, and sometimes it appears like visarga. So in raha, ra and ha both exist. So if we exchange, it becomes haraha. You can exchange. Like visarg can be exchanged with ha. So you can exchange ra and ha in that place, raha. So when you exchange haraha, that means that haraha means haran, to merge. So when all objects are removed, then harana or their harana is done, they are all merged, then what remains? Hara, Hari, Paramatma only remains. Right? So therefore, rahasya actually means that when we go into solitude, the harana of all objects is done, all the objects are merged, and only what remains? Only Hari remains, Hara remains, Hari Hara. So Paramatma remains. So that is why many times in Shruti, for self-knowledge, solitude is advised. No, in the Gita, in the 6th chapter, it is said that Suchi Deshe Pratishtite. You go to a place where there is no crowds, no people, like you go to the riverside, and there you meditate, you put a kusha grass mat, and then you sit on that so that it's comfortable, neither hard, not too soft. Everything, all the conditions for meditation is given. And in all those conditions, the first condition is solitude. Solitude, right? So first we have to practice. So someone who has good practice, he can meditate in a crowd. He can meditate anywhere. It doesn't matter. But initially we don't have that practice, right? So we have to start with solitude. So Veda tells solitude is the first condition for this observation of samadhi or this knowledge. So now the person who has viveka, the viveki, he will see therefore this samsara as dukkha rupa. Everyone has a fire burning in their house and heat is produced. उसमें heat गर्मी निकलती है. Same way the heat of sorrow is there in every mind. Heat of sorrow is there in every mind. है? ताप बोलते हैं हम उसको. ताप. So when तीनों ताप होते हैं ना, three kinds of tapas. So when people get together, what do? They bring together each other's sorrows and increase it. Just like if you bring the firewood from all the houses, it will increase, give a big fire. So the real ananda comes from Atma Jnanam. It never decreases. So this knowledge is carried by the Brahmanas and propagated by the Upanishads. So that we have to give up this feeling of sorrow. We have to go back to our Swarupaha and reach for that knowledge which is not going to be disturbed by the sorrows of the world. And the way to express this happiness or this knowledge in the world is through yajna. Yeah, the way to express this knowledge is through yajna. Because in yajna, what do? We give. So we saw earlier that when we give, the joy is more and the joy is everlasting. So yajna is a gift given to us by God where we listen, we give to the universe. And we all know the principle of yajna also. Whatever we offer into the fire, it becomes manifold and comes back to us. So we say also Prithvi is Yajna Rupaha. Put a seed, you get a tree. and number of fruits. So whatever we give will come back to us manifold. So this secret God has given us. This secret, I'll not call it a weapon. We can say a secret gift. So yajna is the gift. And who becomes the pashu in the yajna? The Maharishi Dayanand, he says in his one of his bhashyams, he says, pashu is the student. Pashu is the student, and the post that he is tied to, that is called the yupa, yup mein bandh dete hain, is the subject matter to which he is tied. And so, like, no, in yup is something, it's you can sit on it also. It's like a stool. So it's so we in studies also, no, some we say someone is a professor, he is the chair of mathematics or chair of science. Yeah. So that represents the guru. That represents the guru. And so therefore the guru is the one who is going to hold the yajna together. And the yajman is the yajna karta. So Pashu is one who is caught up in the sense gratification or bhoga or consumption. And once he is brought to the yajna, he learns to give up this sense gratification, and there he gets knowledge. And that knowledge liberates him from the feeling of being a Pashu. That knowledge. Therefore, Pashu is brought to the yajna and tied to the yug. That represents the giving him samskaras, giving him knowledge, giving the Pashu or the student the knowledge. And in the end, what happens is once this is done, the one who is the consumer, that we call him the bhokta, his bhoga or food is the pashu. So like so in any yajna, but whenever we do the yajna, the pashu is what do we saw? That pashu is freed away, is let to go. Right. So that means letting go of all your attachments, letting go of all our attachments. So once we let go of the pashu within us, we'll let go of our attachments, then only we will be as free as that pashu that we let go. So therefore, we have to learn to give up our what we call bhoktritvam, my sense of enjoyership, my sense of consuming everything. So I will have to give up this. I will have to become the bhoga for someone else. So this thing is there in the world also. Like if we have someone working for us, our worker is working for us. So we are his eater, we are his bhokta, and he is the food. He is the food, he is working for us. So at the end of the month, what happens? We give him salary. We give him salary. So then it is reversed. So he becomes the eater, he becomes the bhokta, you become the bhogya, you become the food, right? So, or when you get on a bus, the driver is the food, you are the eater. Then when it moves, when you pay him, he becomes the eater and you become the food. Or you can say the owner of the bus corporation is the eater. So what is this? What is the problem in this creation cycle? The one who is tied by this rope or knot, he is called the Pashu. Pashu means Pash. Pash means the knot. What is the knot? The knot is that everyone wants that they remain the enjoyer or eater or consumer or bhokta. And everything else must remain the food. So that is our problem. So once we do not till we solve this problem, we will never be able to be actually really free. So like the government servant is working in the government, he gets his salary, he doesn't want to work. He says, I am getting the food and I am becoming the eater. So why should I put in effort and become the food? He will put effort only when someone pays him bribe. So shopkeeper also, no, if there is a shopkeeper, he wants all the protection of the government and all the facilities and all the infrastructure, but he doesn't want to give full taxes. So always wants to remain the eater. Like our children. The children want all the facilities, clothes, food, shelter. But when parents ask to help in the course, I'm not talking about all children, just giving example. So when parents ask them to help in the course, it becomes child labor and abuse according to today's concepts. So why are you making the child work like this? When we were young, no, in school, we used to go and clean the classroom. We used to clean the classroom. We used to even, dust the hallway. झाड़ू लगाते थे. Even some days we had meeting. We had the morning attendance. क्या बोलते हैं morning वो assembly. We had this morning assembly in a big courtyard. So every week, one class would have the duty of cleaning that. Sab hum jhadu lagate. But nowadays, you do that, no, the parents will not allow the children to do that. Right? So we have to learn to become the bhogya. We have to learn to give service to the society. Till then, we do that, we are not worthy of also enjoying anything back in return. Right? So the creation, this whole creation is one, undivided, partless. If there were many atmas, one would become the eater and other will become the eaten forever. You can keep the cycle forever. But here, we have got only one universe. Everything here is interdependent. So the more you become the food, the more you deserve to become the eater. जितना तुम भोग्य बनोगे उतना ही भोक्ता बनने का हक हो जाएगा आपके पास. Right? The more you give up to yourself, the more you give things, the more you have the right to become the bhokta. Or you can say in more simpler terms, the more you do your duties, the more you have rights. Everyone wants rights, but no one wants duties. Right? Simple term. Right? So once, no, there was a very talented music, Chwetsky, in the Boston Opera. He was an expert in the Seventh Symphony of Beethoven. A very spiritual piece of music. ना लोगों को आंसू आ जाते हैं सुन के. It's very, it evokes the most profoundest of emotions, it is said. So at the end of one such performance, one lady who was overwhelmed, no, she came up to him and said, I felt today like God was playing. जैसे भगवान खुद बजा रहे थे. To which he said, shaking his head, that is a very big responsibility, and my shoulders are too small to carry it. So that is the humility we should have. So Ishvara becomes the bhogya or the food for everyone. He is always ready to give. He is always ready to provide for us. Does he ask anything in return? Does he take anything in return? No. So that the greater a person, the more willing he is to become a food and thus also be a big eater. Right? There was a story told by a sadhu. A lady once complained to a sadhu, and she said that my son, who is about very young, 3, 4 years old, and my husband is a very big businessman, and my husband's brother, he usually stays in the house. He looks after the things in the house. So my son calls him Babuji. And when the father comes, he said he doesn't call him Babuji. So when they told him, why don't you call? No, he said, no, he's Sahab. He's Sahab hai. So she said that the father is never present. He never spent time with some. So every time she went, no, she would complain this thing in different ways. So one day the sadhu really got angry. He said, I heard your complaint so many times, madam. So if you expect your husband to play with your son, then how will you wear this diamond necklace that you are wearing and all the luxuries that you are enjoying? So if you become less of the bhokta, less of the eater, your husband will also become more of the food. He will also spend time with you at your home. He will be available. So the more we have these desires, the more we also have to understand someone is giving so much to us. So therefore, like the individual, so in the society also. In the society also, if there is a laborer, when he becomes the food, he wants to work minimum possible. He just wants the money, but takes the money, but he will want to do minimum work. But when he becomes the eater, then he wants the maximum salary. So at the time of becoming food or the bhogya, he wants minimum work, to do minimum work. But when he becomes the bhokta or the eater, he expects maximum salary. Reverse is for the employer also. The employer wants him to work most and give him less and less of money. Or if you are in a rented house, the landlord wants to give minimum of facilities and no maintenance, but he wants high rent. But the tenant wants very low rent and high maintenance and facilities. So balance is the essence of any relationship in society. Unless we have this balance, this society will not run in the smoothest of manner. So the thoughtful person understands this balance. He knows that I have to become the food, the consume, before he can become the eater. So he tries to his best to give to everyone. Uh, so Pashu is one who remains the food. He is never able to become the eater. Why? Because he willingly never becomes the food. So what happens is when you don't willingly become the food, no, you are deliberately made the food. So you are deliberately made the food himself. You never get the joy of becoming an eater. So the worker who works only when he's scolded and abused, no, जिसको push करना पड़ता है कुछ करने के लिए, he never gets a raise. He will do the work, करेगा पशु की तरह. He will do the work, but because he doesn't do it on his own, he will not get a raise. So once we show the intent, then we get the rewards. But what about Ishvara? Ishvara is the exact opposite. Huh? Or the sun never asks anything from us. It always gives. It never asks anything in return. It has become the food for us by his own wish or swabhava or nature. Therefore, it being the eater or bhokta is total, purna, full, complete. He will never be under your control. Because what happens, one who expects something from you, he will be in your control. हाँ, जब आप किसी से एक्सपेक्ट कुछ करते हो ना, तो आप भी उसके कंट्रोल में आ जाओगे. यू विल इफ यू आर एक्सपेक्टिंग समथिंग बैक, you will be under the control of that person. So if you give love to anyone, then it is good. But if you expect anything in return, you will be in the control of the other person. You can give, offer sun, arghya to the sun. You can offer the water. But that is for his respect. The sun doesn't ask for that respect. But he deserves it, so he gets it himself. You give it out of love or reverence. So he is not dependent on you, or as he has willingly become your food, and he isn't your pashu. Therefore, his independence, his becoming a bhokta is never hindered. He can become the bhokta as much as he wishes. Same way, Ishvara too has become available for us in the form of all the objects of the world. All the objects of the world he has given us for our bhoga. And Nirguna Brahmana, he has become all the gunas for you. So even though he is Nirguna, he holds all the gunas. So therefore, he has become the holder of the gunas for you to enjoy, for us to enjoy. Therefore, his appearance, his independence is also unhindered. उसके आजादी में कहीं भी कमी नहीं आती. So while Jiva's independence is what? Our independence is partial. Our independence is always limited to the objects we see. So this being consumed by force is called being a pashu. Being tied by the knot or the bondage of being a pashu. So now coming back to the pashus now, why we went to this whole detail. So there are two kinds of pashu. We saw there. By Vayu Devata, Vayavyan, through the Vayu, there are two kinds of pashus are born. Because everything, the jivas, all the jivas, they are alive by prana, pranavayu. All of us are alive by this pranavayu. So therefore, of the kind of beings that are born out of this pranavayu are aranya, or those who live in the forest, and gramya, those who live in the village or city, domesticated ones like the cow, horse, goat, dog, etc. So what is the difference between these two concepts? The Aranyan live independently. Aranyan live independently, while the Gramyan will always live in groups. The cows, they will always live in group. Herd. They have the what we call the herd mentality. So Gram also means group. Gram means village also, but Gram means group also. Right? So Gram means group. So like if a cow is splitting away from the group, we say it is lost. Go and find it. So Aranyan, Gramyascha ye. So Aranyan are full of beauty because Aranya means Ramaniya, self-reliant. And so they don't need the support of a group. While the Gramyascha, the Gram ones, they need to be in a group. They don't have enough talent. They need someone to complete them. So like a man will marry a woman if she can cook. Otherwise, they don't need each other if they are both in a job. They manage to get along, but with a lot of compromises. And like in a factory, there is a group. A factory, there is a group. There is a laborer. There are laborers, machine workers. Then there is a manager. There is an accountant. So they are all existing as a gramme, as a group. So they are existing as gramme because they complement each other. So therefore, all of them combine to give the output. They are all interdependent. On their own, none of them are sufficient. So too many of one kind will disturb this balance. So Gramya also in the dictionary or Amar Kosha is the meaning is given as Ashleel or non-beautiful. So together they become beautiful, by completing each other's flaws or complementing each other. Individually, they are incomplete. And what about the Aranyan? The Aranyan is one who is complete. He doesn't need anyone else. You can say self-reliant. So the more one becomes self-reliant, the more he's Aranyan. He is beautiful. He's also produced from what we call Arani also represent Arani, the two pieces of wood which are rubbed together to create this Yagya fire. Arani Manthanam. So what does Arani produce? Fire. Fire represents knowledge. So therefore, Aranyan is one whose inner self grows with knowledge. Knowledge produced out of Manthanam, or produced out of meditation on the inner nature of his own. So therefore, he has what we call pratibha. Pratibha, naturally, what is the regular meaning we understand? Pratibha means talent, right? Pratibha means talent. So when we analyze the word bha, pratibha, bha means gyan, but that gyan that is attained with effort. इसके लिए कुछ मेहनत करनी पड़ती है. Bha is jnanam with effort, but prati existing the gyan that is obtained without effort. So pratibha is something that is attained without effort. It is inherently present in us. Like in Ken Upanishad, we saw pratibodh viditam matam. Every knowledge that is there is shows the indication that there is a knower behind ourselves. There is a self who is knowing everything. In every knowledge, we can infer that there is a knower. So there, bodha or knowledge is attained without effort. Just the presence of the self is there, and that is sufficient. That is pratibha. That is our natural talent. So here, it is the natural talent of one whose nature as Shiva, which doesn't need effort. The person who is Aranyan, he knows himself as Shiva. He knows himself as consciousness. And therefore, he will always be situated in the highest knowledge very, very fast. Aranya. Right? So what about the other person? For the Gramya, he will have to make effort. He will have to remove the Namru. He will have to remove the Namru with effort. But then only the consciousness will shine through effortlessly. So Aranyan is one who has Shiva Drishti spontaneously, while the other is the Gramya. The Gramya will always see the objects as a group, as separate entities. He sees the object also with name, form, color, smell, etc. So as a group, everything appears mixed to him. So Sambhritam Prishadajan. He sees everything mixed. So he is Gramya. So once he does Vivek, he can remove Namarupa. Then he will be able to grasp his own Shiva Tattva, his own nature as Shiva. Then he will also become Aranya. He will also become Aranya. So here Veda tells us there are two paths. There are two paths, Pravritti and Nivritti. Pravritti is Gramya, Nivritti is Aranya. In Pravritti, the Pravritti is the natural instinct for doing activities. The natural instinct for doing activity. And Nivritti is not just not doing activity, but seeing that I am the self, and in the self there can be no activity. So slight difference there is. So it's not just not doing something, it is knowing that I don't need to do something. I cannot do anything as the Atma. So therefore, in Pravritti, Jagat will keep attracting us, or the person who's Gramya, and in Nivritti, Paramatma is the soul aim. So our Sanskriti, our Indian Sanskriti is directed towards becoming Aranya. So in the Veda also has a part Aranyaka. So that Aranyaka is what? In Aranyaka, different meditations are taught. Different kinds of Upasana is taught. So Upasana is the same thing only when we give up all the limitations of our individual being, surrender to a higher being, and become one with that being. So therefore our independence increases, right? While in the Western vision, Western philosophy, they have more of the Gramya philosophy. Some of the forms of this Gramya are socialism, even democracy. So these forms they increase consumption, they increase consumption, but they are not inclined towards increasing the awareness of the bhokta. So as they are mostly consumerist societies. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा consume करो. They will waste so much food. They will waste so much of materials. But in India, we will, repair a chappal also. 100, 200 rupees slipper. After the slab gets broken, we will go and mend it. Anything that is there, we will go and mend it. We don't waste resources, right? But for them, everything is use and throw, right? So therefore, this kind of either it is capitalist or either it is communist, all have their limitations. There is a story about Maxim Gorky. He was a very famous communist writer and leader in Russia. So in those days, the socialist revolution happened, and he took part, and he also wrote many books on it. So Maxim Gorky. So after establishing socialism, he never took anything from the government. So once there were rumors that he was dying from cold exposure and that the government doesn't care about him. So when the government people heard about him, they respected him a lot. He was one of the main people who had built the system of communism. So Stalin, who was the chief in the party, he sent his minister there to ask him to take anything he needed. So Gorky said, I don't need anything. Then the minister pressed him further, please take something. Have we made a mistake? कोई गलती हो गई हमसे, or have we dishonored you? So please tell us so we may rectify the mistake. So then Gorky took his hand and he led him to the window. And he showed the wooden houses of the poor people. And he said, if I ask for wood, you will break their houses and bring it for me. I don't want to take anything by hurting anyone else. So I don't take because you will take from another person's right and give it to me. So he wanted from his heart that the workers become consumers or enjoyers. And that is why he, built this whole revolution. But in this way, you cannot make anyone an enjoyer unless someone is becoming the enjoyed. So someone is producing something. जब तक कोई कुछ build नहीं करेगा या कुछ उगाएगा नहीं, तो कोई और कैसे उसको खाएगा? You need someone to produce. When you make everything available, the benefits of society, but you have no rules for becoming a producer, then the society, that is why they collapsed. Soviet system collapsed. So you can't make someone an enjoyer by force. So Gorky also, he didn't have a solution. He saw the system fading and failing. So wherever there is a tendency for collectivism or Gramya Sanskriti, then this interdependence will always keep them undeveloped or keep them, the people will not be ready to become bhokta. So one who has the pratibha, Gorky had pratibha, he had pratibha, he wanted the people to be happy, but in the end, he ended up joining in their sorrow. He ended joining up in their sorrow. So what is the solution? The solution is to increase that pratibha, increase that pratib gyan, to move towards aranya. So the more you are ready to become the consumed, the more you can become the consumer. More you give to society, more you can get back. So remember, you will get freedom, but freedom means also the freedom to do wrong things. So whenever we say someone to you, you have the freedom to do everything, and then we observe that because of that freedom, something wrong is happening. Then we impose limits. So that is typically Gramya mentality. So unless the mentality of that person changes, so you have to give him that Aranya mentality, then only he will respect the freedom that you have given. So freedom is not being what we call hedonistic. Kuch bhi karo. Freedom means discipline. So the more the Gramya increases, more people will do wrong. More the Aranya increases, more people will do right things. So for the Gramya people, no, punishment will have to be there. You go to the US, UK, no, even for spitting outside the window of a running car, you will be fined $500. So I'm not saying in India we are doing well, we are doing badly here also. But actually, the discipline should be there first. So when people, but there you have to have these strong rules, otherwise people will not behave. So here also we are also going the same way, but we have to come back to our old Sanskriti to become Aranya. So we are not even teaching that. So how will people know? So Aranya Sanskriti focuses on Pratib Gyan and Gramya will focus on the group. Or you can say Nivritti will slowly reduce your bondage and dependence and take you to moksha, while Pravritti will keep on increasing your bondage. So the more Gramya increases, the more even in the case of the government also, the more we become Gramya, the more the control of the government increases. So think why the taxes are so high. If we pay income tax properly, how many people pay tax? If we pay properly, other taxes won't be needed. But because we don't pay, then we have GST, we have wealth tax, death tax, property tax, and I don't know how many other taxes. So taxes keep increasing. If we had paid the income tax, others would not be needed. So the more we refuse to become the enjoyed, the less we ourselves become the enjoyer. So first we needed to, bribe one officer to stay off our back, and now we need to bribe many. So the less we are willing to become consumed, the more our pashuta or gramya will increase. So usually a person thinks no that without being a bhogya, I will become the bhokta. So the reason for this is mainly our having knowledge in the what we call duality. We think in everything in duality. सब मुझसे अलग है उससे अलग है तो मैं उससे ले लूं. Everyone is separate from me. I'll take maximum I can take. But once we establish ourselves in the knowledge of Advaita in the form of non-duality, then we are more willing to give. We are less willing to ask or expect in return. And whatever we get in return, we'll always be satisfied. So therefore, all our dharma shastras also say that we should not be bhogya kendrit. We should be become more focused towards the bhokta, that we don't become the consumer. We become the consumed, do the maximum. So like we have our one vyavastha. So brahmana is supposed to be respected by the kshatriya. Okay? So kshatriya will always say, but it is never said to the Brahman that you must make the Kshatriya respect. The respect must come from him naturally. So if Kshatriya does namaskar, he is free to do it, swatantra. But if the Brahman on any given day he becomes unhappy or angry that the Kshatriya did not, do namaskaram to him, then the Brahman becomes partantra. He becomes non-independent. So therefore, all our dharma shastras, whatever rules they have given us, all those rules are meant to make us independent and not dependent. So one vyavastha also, whatever rules are there, they are if the Brahman is not eating anything tamasic from any of the varnas, that means that he is doing for his own self-control and not because he hates them or he doesn't like their food. So always the wrong perception is given. So therefore, all the dharma shastras, they have the rules or duties to increase your freedom. हमारी स्वतंत्रता को बढ़ाने के लिए to how to give more. Every varna is taught how to give back to society. So Brahman, do give all your knowledge to society, use it for the benefit of people, help to advise the king, advise the lower classes, do yajna for them, and in return accept nothing. Live on alms, भीख मांग के रहो, थोड़े में रहो. King also same way. Work for the kingdom, go acquire more land, cover other kingdoms, and acquire more wealth. And in the end, at the end of the year, distribute. For the Vaishya also, collect as much as possible. At the end, do give away dhanam. So the Vishwajit Yajna you have to do at the end. So you have to give away everything. So all only the Shudra is not to give because he earns less only. So we all have to look at our duties. Like if someone reads the Ramayana, so let's say a husband is reading the Ramayana and he can show the wife so many duties are there for you. Just see, you should observe. उस जमाने की लेडीज कितना करती थी. He can show that. But the moment the part come where the duties for the husband comes, then he will say no, that is of another type. So all shastras have duties for all people. So therefore, whatever duties are given to us, they are given so that we can increase the wellness of society. In Gita also, Bhagavan has said, no, karmanye vadhikaraste, ma phaleshu kadachana. So no adhikara is given to phal for the jiva. So for jiva, your adhikara is only doing your duty. Karmanye vadhikaraste. You don't have to worry about the fruit. जो fruit मिल रहा है मिल जाएगा. Whatever the fruit has to be given, Ishvara is given. So therefore, both the kinds of duties are given. Ishvara's duty is to give you the karma phalam. Your duty is to do the karma. So therefore, we have this very beautiful karma siddhant. The more and more we learn to follow it, the more we will be able to increase what we said are Aranya Vritti and decrease the Gramya Vritti. So Gramya or Aranya, both coming from where? Vayavya, both from Vayu Devta. So therefore, in Samsara, Gramya and Aranya, or you can say Vyashti and Samashti, we have to go reach for their oneness, unki ekta. And how is their oneness depicted? Through their connection by Vayu. वायु हमारे अंदर भी है बाहर भी है so that in this way the samashti and vyashti are connected and becoming one. So in the morning also when we do the sandhya vandana we say namaste vayu tvameva pratyaksham brahmasi tvameva pratyaksham brahma vadishyami hritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami. So hey vayu, I bow to you, मैं नमस्कार करता हूँ because you are that uh, Pratyaksha Brahma. You are that visible form of Brahman. And why you Pratyaksha Brahman? Because 1 minute earlier it was inside me in the Vyashti Roop, in the Pranaha, and the next minute it has come out of me in the form of Samashti Roop Vayu. So what is present outside as Samashti Vayu, within a minute again back, it has come again into me as Vyashti Pranaha. So therefore, this Vyashti Samashti interdependence or not just interdependence, you can say oneness. एक ही वायु तो है ना जो सब जगह चल रही है. So this oneness we can see. So Vayu is the most visible aspect. बाकी हमें दिखता नहीं है. Vayu is very, very well experienced by us every second. Every second that how this body is also alive because of that Vayu only. So in all the other objects, no, this Vyashti Samashti relationship is not so clear. In Vayu, it is very, very clear. So, like if we have consciousness within us, then you cannot tell that I am conscious or not. But if the doctor has to check whether you are alive or not, he will see your breathing, Vayu. है ना वायु को देखते हैं. You will put a glass or a mirror and check that your person is breathing. So therefore, Vayu is the what we call Pratyaksha Brahmasi, the visible form of how Brahman or Brahma has come in front of us. So therefore, if person is alive or not, the best way is to check his Vayu or Prana. So this Vayu connects our individual with the total. Therefore, just like Vayu is Parbrahm Paramatma, we also have to understand slowly through Vivek as the Parbrahm Paramatma, as the consciousness. So, like there is the concept of, we saw earlier that Brahmins, they will not touch someone's food. But do they won't hold their nose? No. Vayu is same for everyone. वायु हवा तो एक ही है ना सबके लिए. So Vayu is what we call the Pradhan, the main holder of this oneness of Vyashti and Samashti. So in this way, when we connect Aranya and Gramya, that the Vyashti and Samashti are interdependent, the more the individual contributes towards the Samashti, the Gramya contributes towards the Aranya, the more the system becomes balanced and fluid, and the more it becomes takes us slowly towards what we call away from pravritti marg and towards nivritti marg. So therefore, we have to be ever vigilant in the way we think about the activities around us, right? So today we'll wind up and we'll continue in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Tat Sat.